the elephants and also speaking with the mahouts there.
Well, that is true, Aishwarya. In fact, he's crossed over to the Mudumalai Tiger Reserve as well from Bandipur. That's in the border of Tamil Nadu. He's crossed from Karnataka to Tamil Nadu, where the elephant camp is there. Largely, the elephant population is across Bandipur and Mudumalai. The jungle and the Western Ghats share through the border as well. Now he's crossed over to Tamil Nadu, where you can see him, the visuals that he is looking at the elephants, meeting the mahouts, and taking note of what are the problems that they are facing. If you remember the Dasara festival of Karnataka, the 400-year-old festival, a lot of elephants come from Bandipur, also Kabini, also for the festival. So that is the legacy of Bandipur and Kabini elephants as well. Now in Mudumalai, the same elephant camp is there. This is in the border, exactly in the border of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. So the Elephant Whisperer, the documentary that you have seen, which won the Oscar, also the couple live here, the Belly and Bomma couple. So the Prime Minister will also meet them, congratulate them about their life, how they took care of the lone elephant that was not in the herd, that was sent away from the herd, the lone elephant that the whole documentary is based on. The couple will be met by the Prime Minister. He'll speak to them. Post that, he will be taking off to Mysore, where he will address a gathering here, and it's a government event. This will be with forest officials, college students as well. Most likely that he will be releasing the tiger census for Karnataka and for the rest of India this afternoon. Post that, he'll be taking off to Delhi, where he'll be holding a CEC meeting this evening for the Karnataka BJP first list as well.
So that is something, Nagarjun, that we all will be keeping a very close eye on the list that the BJP will come out with. So one can see how important Karnataka as a state is for the BJP. In the morning, Prime Minister spending, the first half, in fact, of the day in the state of Karnataka, speaking about all the projects, talking also about the fact that Project Tiger has now completed 50 years. And then in the evening, we will see the big huddle around 6 p.m. Nagarjun is what we understand inside the Bharatiya Janata Party headquarters in the national capital. There will be a brainstorming session. We also understand that the Chief Minister of Karnataka, Basvaraj Bommai, has been in the national capital, Nagarjun, over the past 2 days. So definitely hectic parleys taking place there just before the release of the first list.
That's true, Aishwarya. April 13th is the day that the nomination starts, and the Congress has already gone on for front foot by releasing 166 names in the first list, and JDS has released 93. The BJP still has to figure out on the names as well in the first list. So there is pressure mounting on BJP as well. Just 4 days before the nomination, the list is not out. People still don't know if they are the candidates or not. So there is time-bound pressure for the BJP also to release. In the last 2 days, series of meetings have happened in Delhi. The Chief Minister, Mr. B.L. Santosh, Mr. Amit Shah, Mr. Nadda, all of them have met since the last 2 days. Last night also there was a 9-hour meeting starting from 11:30 in the morning in JP Nadda's house is what we are told. Almost their consensus has been reached around 140 to 150 seats is what we are picking up, and most likely this list will be brought in front of the CEC, and the Prime Minister and the rest of the members of the CEC will approve it, and the list will be announced immediately is what we are being told right now. But also there is some confusion around 20-25 seats. This is inclusive of sitting MLAs, former MLAs. Should we bring in fresh faces? There's also pressure from the netas in the state that let's bring in fresh air, the same Gujarat model to be followed. The party doesn't have anti-incumbency, but individuals in certain pockets of Karnataka have anti-incumbency. And how do we beat it? If we have to beat that process, bring in fresh air. Like last time in 2018, in whole of Dakshin Kannada, out of the 11 seats, 8 were given to the fresh people, and most of them won the seats, and that's what they want to redo once again in Karnataka. That call will be taken by the Prime Minister, because remember, BJP in Karnataka is the only in this state, in the southern part of India, that they have some hold and some grip. So they don't want to lose out on this grip, because upcoming is the Telangana election. So this will have a rippling effect in Telangana also, and next is Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan. So starting from 2023, a year before the Lok Sabha polls, the BJP wants to be on the attack mode, aggressive mode. So all will be done is what we are told. 2 days of brainstorming session, but this evening there will be a final list on consensus reached on the final list. The Prime Minister will be told, and the remaining 20-25 seats where there is confusion, the CEC will take a final call.
Right, Nagarjun, you're right. It seems like for the BJP, Karnataka is a very, very crucial state. Not just for the BJP, even for the Congress. The Congress is eyeing to win back Karnataka, and for the big 2024 elections, for Congress to win the state. That's what we understand from the sources. Winning Karnataka is very, very crucial. Nagarjun, as far as optics are concerned, we are seeing, the images of Prime Minister in his car, reaching the Bandipur Reserve Park then, and now you are saying that he's moved on to almost to the border, where one can see in the visuals how he's speaking with the mahouts. Also, he will be going ahead and speaking with those who took part in the Oscar award-winning documentary The Elephant Whisperers, Belly and Bowman. So those are also people Prime Minister will be meeting today. Obviously, the brahmas that the BJP has is Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and this personal touch that Prime Minister is giving to the state of Karnataka, all of this is aimed at the big election.
That's true. This also Mission 2024, right? The southern push. Yesterday he was in Telangana inaugurating projects for 1,000 odd crores. Then the terminal in Chennai airport, and now Karnataka. So in 24 hours he's covered 3 states, where that will be the agenda for the BJP in the next 1 year. 2024 is a southern push for the BJP, and it's very evident. Even in the national executive meeting, he had spoken about how the northeast has been conquered. It's time for BJP to make inroads in the southern part of India, and accordingly he's been coming here quite often. Now the 3 states in the last 24 hours as well. Now he's in Mudumalai Tiger Reserve, which also has an elephant camp itself, like in Karnataka, Bandipur. There is also an elephant camp in Mudumalai as well. Now he's meeting all the mahouts there. You can see the visuals, right, that we are bringing on India Today television right here, that a series of elephants have been standing to meet him. There is a wall barricade that he's standing on the dais there and speaking to all the mahouts. The elephants also, in fact, one of the elephants had put its trunk near the Prime Minister's hand. The Prime Minister, in fact, touches the trunk and smiles also. So there is a bond between the mahouts, Prime Minister Modi, and the elephants also that they are sharing today. On a Sunday morning, it's a fresh visual that we are seeing. I have also, like I was talking to you, Aishwarya, that I also have visited Mudumalai Tiger Reserve, Bandipur Tiger Reserve. It's a beautiful feeling to be among the wildlife.
Just stay on with me. We have got some new visuals that are coming off the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, binoculars in his hand. Prime Minister, at the Bandipur Tiger Reserve, looking at, the beauty around him. These are the new visuals that one can see from the Bandipur Tiger Reserve. Prime Minister Narendra Modi just a few minutes back was in Bandipur. Now he's crossed over, and at the moment he's at the Mudumalai Tiger Reserve, where he's interacting with the mahouts and also feeding the elephants. Those visuals that you see on your screens, viewers, are from the Bandipur Tiger Reserve. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, almost an hour and a half ago, reached the Bandipur Tiger Reserve, and he's been on a safari from Bandipur Tiger Reserve after spending some time at the Bandipur Tiger Reserve, keeping a close eye on the tigers there. He's now moved on to the Mudumalai Tiger Reserve. Those visuals on your screens that you see of the Prime Minister feeding the elephants are in fact from the Mudumalai Tiger Reserve. He's also interacted with the Oscar award-winning documentary film, The Elephant Whisperers, stars Belly and Bowman. Nagarjun is with me on the story. Nagarjun, we've just got new visuals of the Prime Minister. One can see how happy the Prime Minister is, during the safari with binoculars in his hands. He's keeping a very close eye on the tigers that one can see at the reserve.
Also, Aishwarya, when you have gone to this jungle safari visits, right, so you will have to be very, very careful and alert about the movements of the animals there. So you'll need a binocular, and you'll also see the beautiful Western Ghats as well as the Nilgiri, the whole hills and the structures there. And you'll have to be very alert, because a lot of times when the tiger moves in the midst of the jungle, in the dense forest, the birds and the animals are on the trees, like the monkeys and the squirrels, they're the ones to pick up first. And you'll have to be very alert to pick their noises. It's a noise of caution and an alert. You can hear the sounds that they do. The birds especially, they chirp a lot. And that's when you know in the surrounding 2 to 3 kilometers in the bird's eye view the tiger is walking. Then that's when you'll need the binocular as well. Many of the times that it has happened to most of us, the tourists here, when we visit Bandipur and Mudumalai, we have been told to remain completely calm and silent inside the vehicle, because only then you can hear the caution calls by the other animals when the tiger is spotted. So hopefully we'll know by the end of the safari that if Prime Minister has seen the tiger or not. There is ample number of tigers in Bandipur and Mudumalai, so hopefully he would have seen, is what I'm guessing. But we'll have to to wait and see what the PMO says. And the photos coming out that you can see on the Prime Minister Modi on the hilltop with a binocular, keenly watching the tigers and the elephant movements. Also, not just tiger and elephant in this forest area, a lot of red-tailed giant squirrels, exotic birds and animals are also seen, which is very native to this jungle, the Western Ghats as well, Aishwarya.
Right, Nagarjuna. And now the Congress is, there's a fresh salvo that has come from the Congress party. Congress is stoking the credit war over Project Tiger. Congress is now claiming Prime Minister's visit to the Bandipur Tiger Reserve. Jairam Ramesh of the Congress party saying the Prime Minister is in Bandipur and now he's all set to stake claim on a project that was actually launched during Congress's time. Congress party now taking a pot shot at Prime Minister and saying don't sell the Bandipur park to Gautam Adani. It's time for us to slip into a very quick break. We are leaving you with these visuals. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on a safari today in the state of Karnataka.
You are watching India Today. You are watching India Today.
For the BJP and the Congress, the state of war Karnataka will be a big decider before 2024 elections, and that's the reason why we are seeing both the parties putting their best foot forward. Those visuals that you see on your screens are of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who at the moment is with the mahouts in the state of Tamil Nadu, meeting with the mahouts, and also he will be meeting with those who were a part of the Oscar. Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Theppakadu Elephant Camp in Mudumalai Tiger Reserve, interacting with the mahouts and the kavadis of the elephant camp. Prime Minister can be seen feeding the elephants. Prime Minister is all set to speak with those who are taking active part in the conservation drive. These are visuals coming from the Mudumalai Tiger Reserve. Prime Minister is all set to interact with the Oscar award-winning documentary, The Elephant Whisperers stars Belly and Bowman. The Jeep Safari, which is being undertaken by the Prime Minister.
और जो उनके महावत हैं, जो उनके देखभाल करने वाला
Speaking with the mahouts, feeding the elephants, Prime Minister on a Jeep Safari.
पूरे टास्क फोर्स से, एलिफेंट के टास्क फोर्स से जुड़े हुए लोग हैं,
All those people who
स्थापित किया, इस
the
बात की
mahouts
समीक्षा की कि इस
and the
रखरखाव
entire
में,
team, the team
और
that
आगे
takes
किस
care
चीज़ की
of these
ज़रूरत है,
elephants.
इन
Speaking.
प्यारे वन्य जीवों के संरक्षण.
अरे वही तो बोल रही हूँ. Prime Minister is at the moment interacting with the Oscar award-winning documentary The Elephant Whisperers stars Belly and Bowman. A short 41 minutes documentary, The Elephant Whisperers, was shot at the spot where the Prime Minister is at the moment. And this is the film that got India the Oscars, along with RRR.
ये तस्वीरें जो आप देख रहे हैं, ये थेप्पाकुडू हाथी शिविर का है, जहां प्रधानमंत्री ने
Those visuals coming from just a few minutes back, Prime Minister at the Mudumalai Elephant Reserve speaking with the mahouts.
ये थेप्पाकुडू हाथी शिविर का है, जहां प्रधानमंत्री ने
taking stock, asking them the problems that they face and also making sure that there is a big conservation push of the elephants as well as the tigers.
जो इस पूरे टास्क फोर्स से, एलिफेंट के टास्क फोर्स से जुड़े हुए लोग हैं, उनके साथ में संवाद स्थापित किया, इस बात की समीक्षा की कि इस रखरखाव में
the latest visuals coming off the Prime Minister on your screens. The video that you see is coming from the Mudumalai Tiger Reserve, and there is an interaction that took place between the Prime Minister and the entire team of mahouts who take care of the elephant. Not just the entire team, the Prime Minister also interacted with the Oscar award-winning documentary, The Elephant Whisperers stars, Belly and Bowman. Spoke with them, asked them the kind of difficulties they face and what it was like to shoot The Elephant Whisperers. The Elephant Whisperers, Oscar-winning documentary of 2022, a short documentary of 41 minutes. On the other side of your screens are still visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he was at the Bandipur Tiger Reserve. Prime Minister has been a big wildlife enthusiast. Ever since he took over, he became the Prime Minister in 2014, he has been pushing for tiger reserves. In fact, in 2019, he spoke about the fact that there needs to be a collective effort to make sure poaching of tigers stops. And that's the reason why we will see the IBCA, which is the International Big Cats Alliance, being launched today. It's time now for us to slip into a very quick break. We are leaving you with these visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who's in the state of Karnataka and the neighbouring Tamil Nadu on a safari.
You are watching India Today.
On the Democratic Newsroom this week, one of the biggest headlines, it's been talked about all over the country. It's been a trending topic, and it has once again, like virtually everything else these days, deeply polarized views, both online as well as offline. In case you haven't already guessed it, I'm talking about the sweeping changes to textbook content by the NCERT, specifically on issues like the Mughal period, on Gandhi's assassination, Nathuram Godse, the 2002 riots, and many other things that we on India Today also have been putting the spotlight on. We've raised the questions, but there are lots of opinions, and all of them have a place here in the Democratic Newsroom. Joining me live here on the Democratic Newsroom, Rajdeep, Preeti, Gaurav, and Akshita. We, of course, always get into the big topics of the week. This time, it is the sweeping changes to our textbooks. Rajdeep, starting off with you, you've dived into this story as well on your show. What do you think about this?
Look, my belief is history writing must be left to professional historians, not politicians. The problem is the moment politics enters history, it gets poisoned. Left versus right. You know, let's tell his. You can't erase the Mughals from our history. The Mughals represent part of India's great pluralistic culture. How can you just eliminate them and only show them as villains? I'm not saying suggest that Akbar was the greatest leader, but at least tell us about Akbar. Let our young read about Akbar. Let them read about other great leaders of this country, Maharana Pratap, Ahoms. Let them read all the great historical figures. But this attempt to erase selectively to suit a political agenda is where I draw the line, because you are then going the Pakistan way. This is what Pakistan did with history, which is why generations of Pakistanis have grown up hating India. And that, to my mind, is unacceptable. Is that what we want? Young Indians hating anything to do which is even remotely considered Muslim or Islam.
Gaurav, political agenda, that's how the this selective removal of topics from textbooks is concerned. Do you think that's what this is?
Gaurav is looking at me very angrily. I'm very scared.
I completely agree with Rajdeep Sardesai, and I do that Mughal history should never be erased from India's history textbooks, because this country must know what Akbar was all about. That Babur was an invader in India. Babur was not from this land. Akbar, in the Battle of Chittor in 1568, had 40,000 Hindus killed. He had the Janayu of those people measured to know how many Hindus had been killed in the siege of Chittor. And this is a history book not written by politicians. It's a historical account written by James Todd. Let me also tell you what Akbar did at Prayagraj, what he did at Banaras. Again, this is not history that's been written by politicians, but I want to quote, Akbar rewarded Badauni, a Mughal historian, with gold coins for his gesture of declaration to soak his beard with infidel Hindu blood. This is what Badauni writes. Let me also get you what Father Montserrat, not a politician, not right, not left in India. Now he was a Jesuit, a Portuguese Jesuit. He writes the religious zeal of the Musalmans had destroyed the idol temples. In places of Hindu temples, countless tombs and shrines of Musalmans had come up. Hold. If you permit me, none of this is by politicians.
There is more to history than just hatred to the Muslims, my friend Gaurav. All you are doing,
I'm not saying hatred. I'm sorry, I'm not saying hatred.
All you are doing is that.
How is this hatred? This is a historical fact.
I mean, there is also Din-e-Ilahi. There are various other aspects.
Yes, so please tell. So the Marxist historians will focus on a Din-e-Ilahi, but not tell you how Hindus were killed in Chittor. But this is just point one. Permit me. I'm a student of history, and permit me. So you had a Jahangir. Mughals are part of this country. So Babur may have been an invader. Akbar was born in this land. Jahangir is from this land. Jahangir had the 5th Sikh Guru, Guru Arjan Dev. He compiled the Adi Granth. Jahangir in 1606 had him killed. You know how? Made to sit on a plate of hot plate and killed. And that wasn't the only one.
Many of the atrocities.
Hear me. Permit me one more.
We can't have Mr. Sawant
permit me one more.
Okay,
only let me come up to Aurangzeb.
15 seconds, Gaurav. Then we'll go to the other. I'll bring out the other points also.
By Mughals cannot be the only base of history. India's history is a civilization history.
Is it only about also?
It's only about trying to portray good Hindu, bad Muslim. That's all that it is.
Coming to you, I'm just saying.
So Din-e-Ilahi is good Akbar the Great. Let's ignore the fact that he had 40,000 Hindus killed in Chittorgarh.
Let's also frame the debate about whether you expunge Mughal history entirely, or, as Gaurav says, tell the truth about the Mughals, which basically I think he's suggesting you've got a correct history to show the real picture
will we tell the
of
truth
the
tomorrow
Mughals.
about Shivaji? Shivaji has his strength. Shivaji also did things which today,
Yes.
in hindsight will be looked at.
For example,
The plunder of Bengal.
For
the plunder
example,
of Bengal, when Shivaji's forces would go into Bengal or Surat, and the plunder that took place, these were rulers,
and
emperors.
what was
These were
Surat all
rulers,
about?
great rulers.
Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj was the founder of the Hinduvi Swaraj, sir.
He
fought the Mughals. He fought for the freedom of this country.
But we are still talking about the textbooks.
May I get a word in?
No, you'll get a word in. All I want to say is, because I come from Maharashtra, let me make it clear. These are great rulers. Shivaji was a remarkable ruler. But if tomorrow you're going to take Shivaji in all his aspects,
Yes.
then we will have to look at the darker aspects of any.
Please look at Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj
let
in
Preeti
his
come in.
entirety, and you will not find a better Hindu ruler in this country,
Preeti
sir.
and then Akshita. Yeah.
All right. So, I believe everybody's been permitted. So, I'm also going to be permitted to say what I have to say. And I want to begin with the sheer fact because, Gaurav belted out all these facts of how the atrocities of the Mughals. Great. The sheer fact he's been able to do so is because it was taught in history books, right? So, they might be invaders. The fact that it was there in history books. What's happening now? Instead of rhetoric, I just want to come down to what's really happened. 7th standard is when Mughal history is introduced to students. That entire 2 chapters have been taken out. So, medieval history, for those 200 years when the Mughals were around, the kids in the 7th standard are not really going to learn about the Delhi Sultanate or Mughals. I want to say one thing, and that's it. And I think that would encapsulate what I really want to say here, that we have to look at history dispassionately, Shiv. And, and when you look at it, for example, 20 years from now, from 2014 to 2024, when political history in this country should be and will be encapsulated. It should be encapsulated from the eyes of the BJP, where the abject political dominance of the BJP and the abject decimation of the Congress. It cannot be written from the eyes of the Congress. It would be wrong. It has to be written from the objective of the BJP, that the BJP dominated, and it should be known. So to say you have to balance it out, you have to balance history. History is not supposed to be balanced.
History can't be balanced, but this is also about reflecting perhaps the reality. Akshita, what do you think? Because here we're talking about, anywhere between completely erasing chapters and updating chapters to reflect a reality.
No, I think we're all in agreement at least on that, whether it's Gaurav or Rajdeep or anyone
nothing
else,
should be expunged.
nothing can be expunged.
Yeah.
Quite simply.
I'm glad we're there because a lot of it has been expunged.
No, so that is something we're all against.
Great.
We're
I'm
all
fine
against.
with
But
that.
the question is, what
Teach
type of
everything.
narrative do you want to
Yeah.
put out, right? When Gaurav lists out some of these facts, did we know about it? I think all of us know about Jodha Akbar. Do we know beyond that? There's
of
a
course
question
I
mark
knew
on that.
that.
I'll tell you why. Because basic education also
Who
we
says
talk about
students
that.
of history, of
Let me
higher
explain
history,
to
do
you,
not
sir.
know these debates that
These
Gaurav
are
Sawant...
what you just
Gaurav
said.
Sawant is making it out to be as if this has never been taught.
No, I'll tell you
it
why,
has.
sir.
Which class?
No, I'll tell you
Which
why,
class?
sir.
Why should
Which
sixth
class?
Sixth
Which
and
class?
Seventh.
Which
Sixth and
class?
seventh standard
Which
students
class
should be
taught you?
taught basic
Which
history.
class
I'll tell
taught
you,
you?
you
Where
will
Akbar
tell you.
called
You
himself
use
a
the
Ghazi?
word. You
Where
use
Akbar
the
called
word
himself a
higher
Ghazi?
history.
Said, let me, the beard should be with Hindu infidel
Sir,
blood.
you use
Which
the
class
word
taught you
higher
that?
history. You use the word higher history. We're talking about school education and setting the narrative right from the beginning.
No,
Why do we
about
not
setting
refer to the
narrative,
Mughal
ma'am.
dynasty?
It's about ensuring that history you
Do
don't
we
black.
not-
I'm not calling for blacking out period, but I'm saying do not also show a history without any positive attributes. And thereby, by the manner in which Mughal history is being
paint it
erased,
as it
you
is.
clearly want to suggest that they had no contribution.
Paint it as it is. We can't
History is a
spread
continuum.
positivity
Okay,
and
leave out
so
Mughal
overshadow
history.
facts.
Okay, leave out Mughal history. I just
No,
want to
look
come
at the
down-
way Gandhi's
I want
the
to come
Gandhi
down-
Godse
one
debate.
second.
Let Mr. Gaurav Sawant tell
No, I
me.
want to
Let's
come
come
down
to
to
the Gandhi
one
issue.
second. I want to forget about the Gandhi issue. I want
So
to come down to
I
contemporary.
wanted to come back
May
on
I just finish?
Aurangzeb.
I'll come to you.
May I just
at one
finish?
point of time.
So,
No, he wants to come back to
may I
Aurangzeb
just
because all he
finish?
wants to do is play bad Muslim, good Hindu. That's all.
I want to come down to
It's
contemporary.
history.
I
That
want
is
to
your
come-
interpretation. I only want facts and
Okay,
public
we'll give
domain.
it-
Everything
okay,
else
okay,
is
facts.
up to
Let's
you.
quickly get a
You
word.
want politics.
I want facts.
Let
You
me
want
get a word.
politics.
Okay.
I'll
this-
come. Gaurav, I'll come back to you.
Next he will say Taj Mahal was
second.
built by someone else.
Okay,
I'll come back to you,
Say
Gaurav.
Fatehpur Sikri
I'll
was
come back to you. I'll come back to you.
May I?
If you can
Let Preeti
second
get a
guess
word.
me,
Guys,
if you
guys,
can
guys.
second guess
I'll
me,
give you a chance to
Rajdeep,
respond. Let Preeti
I'm
finish.
sorry,
I
Let Preeti get a word.
I
Let Preeti
stay
get a
on
word.
facts,
Let's-
Rajdeep.
Okay, let me talk
Simply on
about facts.
facts.
Let me talk about simply facts. Now, simple facts in contemporary history, which has been now, where chapters have been taken out. For example, I'll ask all of you, I'll ask our viewers. The sheer fact, forget about the Mughal era, contemporary history from 1947 till now. Every social movement in this country has been deleted. A child in our school right now in CBSE NCRT syllabus will not know that there was Naxalism in this country, there was the Chipko movement, there was the Narmada Bachao movement, any of those, any social movement. Every chapter has been taken out. Can I finish, please, sir?
Even emergency.
I'm talking about, let me go one by one. The sheer fact that you've got one chapter in sociology which has been included, which you have to opt for in the 12th standard to actually know that there have been social movements in this country. I find that appalling.
No,
Do you not think kids need to know about Naxalism, whatever your history is? Number two, the mention of riots, Gujarat riots, all mentions allegedly have been taken off, while there are other riots which are there. So you've got to be, you balance if you're talking about. That's
No, I agree with Preeti on this, that these are issues that we have to come up with. Look, overall, the debate should also be on how our education system needs to be reformed, right? True. There are these additions, these deletions that we need to talk about. And I think what also stood out for me was your conversation with the NCRT chief when he said, beyond textbooks, let them learn. And that is the biggest problem. They're saying that, if it's not in your textbooks, you think they're only learning from it. I think we have to also be realistic that, yes, they have the internet, but we have to ensure that our textbooks cover these basics, right? Whether it's the Mughals, whether it's the Chipko movement, whether it's the emergency. We talk about all of it, which we're not doing right now. It's deletion now that we're talking about. But before this, were our textbooks perfect? No, it didn't have a lot of stuff.
Gaurav?
So if I come back to the topic which Rajdeep says is Hindu-Muslim, the fact remains, let's talk about Shah Jahan.
There's more to history than being Hindu-Muslim. I think a good point was made.
Okay.
A lot of contemporary history, simply because it doesn't suit whichever is the ruling establishment, is often erased. Why should students not know either about the emergency of 1975 or Naxalism?
I don't know about the ruling establishment. You yourself said the emergency isn't there. The emergency parts also have been removed.
So my point is, all of that should be there.
Okay, so I don't think
Let Gaurav make his point.
I will tell you what has
There is
been
more to
removed.
the history debate than just Hindu, Muslim or Mughals.
I'll tell you what has
I
been
want to
removed.
understand why is it,
Akshita,
for example, that
Akshita,
today Gandhi's assassination is sought to be positioned in a way which is completely
I'll
different
tell you
to
what
what
is
it was.
removed from the
Why?
emergency.
Because it's embarrassing. That's the
part
reality.
of the emergency that has been removed is the fact that the Jansangh at that point of time did not take part in the movement.
Okay.
That is and what they did at that point of time. That whole chapter has been removed.
Gaurav, finish your point. Yeah.
So, for 75 years, we've studied history with a slant is the allegation from one side. The allegation now is you're studying history from another slant. Let's look at history as facts. Look at what's happening in South Africa, for example. Whatever's happened, there was a truth and reconciliation effort based on which they're moving forward. Once you have truth and reconciliation based on facts, you build the foundation of a very strong nation. That is what is required, not selective erasing. For example, if the Mughals were deliberately targeting Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi temples, why were they targeting Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi? Because that's the base of the civilization that we come from in this land. If an effort was being made to remove it, let's rebuild it. Let's rebuild it in a strong way so that our civilizational roots remain strong to build a strong nation. Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi. Let's study the correct history. We will move forward in a positive way.
Look, if, as Gaurav is saying, that history textbooks over the years have skimmed over atrocities committed by Muslim leaders, maybe it was done at that age in the immediate aftermath of partition, to ensure that communal passions were not ignited. There was obviously also a Nehruvian school of historians who perhaps also were felt that history needed to be taught in a particular way to ensure that the young didn't sort of get into a Hindu-Muslim enmity. I have no problems if over time you want to change that, review that, no problem.
And get facts out.
But
facts.
do not portray it in a manner where one side becomes only villainous and the other side becomes only heroic, because that is dangerous. Similarly, what is happening on the Gandhi-Godse debate also is fitting into that.
Are you willing to do
over
both?
time,
willing
there's an attempt to legitimize almost Godse. No, there is an attempt being made. There's an attempt being made almost to legitimize Godse in some form, to try and give a rationalization for what he did. I think all of that is dangerous, because all of that shows that political
So you can be selective some places, you cannot be selective in some places.
That's not true. No, all I'm saying is that I think we need to get out of who's the hero, who's the villain. History is complex, complicated. When you're young, you need to give them basic facts. Over time, if they develop interest in it, they can go and explore much more and have more, a more reasoned debate. But let's not get into politicizing history. That's my problem. It's
So for
all
75
about
years,
politics at the
if
moment.
75 years there's been politicization of history, if pendulum has gone on one side, it will go on the other side. It will. I am not doing what about Sir, I'm a student of history.
It happened then, so why?
No, I am a student of history. I'm a student of history. I will give you pure facts.
Gaurav seems to be saying that it happened for 70 years, 75 years shift. So why, the pendulum has swung, so now we are going to do it our way.
I'm not saying we.
What rubbish is that?
I am sorry. I'm not saying we. I am saying now.
I thought you're writing the book.
I am writing you facts from.
No, you said you're a historian.
I'm not a historian. That is how you misrepresent facts. I said I'm a student of history.
I did not say
I'm a.
We are all
students of history.
So Shah Jahan, for example, there was a massive famine in Deccan. Yeah, 1630 to 1632, millions died. Shah Jahan, 2 years later, starts building the great Taj Mahal. Okay, Aurangzeb. You said let's not make it Hindu-Muslim. Of course, it should never be Hindu-Muslim. It should be facts.
You're only focusing on Mughal rulers.
I am sorry. Well,
that's all you're doing.
That's the debate. On television every day on Mughals being removed from history. I am saying
because television
I am saying don't remove Mughals.
Television wants to demonize Muslims.
Television wants tell them how Aurangzeb had Guru Tegh Bahadur beheaded in Delhi.
Agree.
Bhai Matidas, Bhai Satidas,
answer me a simple question.
Burnt alive, boiled in a cauldron.
Answer me a simple question. Should today's Muslims pay the price for what Aurangzeb did?
Do today's Muslims identify with Aurangzeb?
No, they don't.
Good.
I don't believe they do.
Why should they be worried?
They certainly don't.
Yeah, then why should they be worried?
This is not a sociological
because it goes
debate.
into politics. That's why.
We're talking about the politicization of textbooks. The fact that it has happened for many, many years. This isn't the first time that there has been selective redactions or removals from our textbooks is one argument that is actually being made at this point of time. So is this government involvement in trying to shape history textbooks an inevitable part of the governance process? It's always happened and it's going to happen.
Yeah, but this is what, as I said at the outset, Shiv, is what happened in Pakistan. An entire generation, 2 generations of Pakistanis grew up only on hatred towards India. Today, you will now create 2 generations of Indians who will only grow up on hatred towards the Musliman. Is that what you want to do?
No,
that's exactly what you want to do. That's the tragedy. You don't want to tell me a truth. It's not about truth and reconciliation. It's about propaganda.
Guru Tegh Bahadur being beheaded is propaganda.
No.
Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and the 4 Sahibzades, is that propaganda?
If we want to get into rhetoric, those 10 examples that Gaurav is giving, I'm sure they are true. But there'll be 10 other examples where the Mughals have been inclusive of Akbar. There have been so many examples which have been taken out. So I'm not getting into that.
The point is stating facts. I'm not going into rhetoric.
This is also facts. It is rhetoric beyond a point of view.
I am on facts.
There is a point here, Preeti, that basic history, when you look at the Mughals, for example, you will see your book say Akbar the Great. You won't see any of these points being mentioned. So there is a slant right now.
He was a remarkable ruler.
As was Shivaji. He killed 40,000 Hindus.
As was Shivaji.
Remarkable.
As was Harshvardhan. As was Chandragupta Maurya.
Prayagraj is a historic Vedic city. Prayagraj converted to Allahabad. Oh, what a remarkable ruler. I am so sorry, Rajdeep. Akbar was not great.
Okay. Okay. So what you said that we've only known of Akbar the Great, actually no. You've known there was a chapter called Akbar the Great in your 6th standard. In your 7th standard, when we moved in, you had an entire chapter on Mughal expansion, which talks about the atrocities of Akbar. It does talk about that. I'm sure quite few of the ones which Gaurav has...
I can speak from example, and I'm not a student of history beyond school, and I can tell you that my experience as far as studying Mughal history in school was almost overwhelmingly positive.
Exactly.
It was overwhelmingly positive.
It was always wow.
I'm not saying that's right and wrong. As we wind down this debate, Rajdeep, the question I'd like to ask is it wrong for those who are sensitive about history having been one-sided for so long? Are they completely wrong, or can you just dump it and say, listen, you can't allow propaganda to come into our text?
All I'm saying is have a dialogue. You see, the problem is we are caught in our echo chambers and unwilling to have a dialogue with each other, and therefore we have those who will look for the worst, for example in the Mughals, and those who will want to focus on just the greatness of them. I'm saying history is complex. I was just this morning listening to a podcast of William Dalrymple on Bahadur Shah Zafar, and I learned of he was a remarkable genius in many ways in what he did for culture and his role in 1857. Now, the fact is that we need, this city in which we live, Delhi, the huge contribution that the
Where are
Mughals
the
have
big
made,
temples
are you going
of
to
the
eliminate
city?
them?
Where are the big temples of Delhi?
Look,
Where
learned-
the
we
Birla
did-
Mandir
Did we not learn that the Mughals? Did we not learn? in school
where are
that
the
Mughals,
big temples?
That the Mughals desecrated
there are
the
four.
temples in the country we
Rajdeep,
did.
I'm sure you know. Sanatan Dharma, which is Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, 4 religions that came from this land. And there are no big temples in Delhi.
The
We
only
already learned
negative
about it, but-
connotation that we've learned in our textbooks about the Mughals is the word invaders. And I think it
No, the
stops
fact
there.
that they
But
destroyed the
let's
temples,
just-
it's talked about in detail how each of these temples
Let's
was
just
destroyed
Rajdeep,
by
I
the
are we going to look at Hinduism's destruction of Buddhism?
I also want to
I'm
learn.
not saying it's one
I
side. We're
also want
speaking
to
about the
learn
Mughals, so we're talking about it.
About
But the reality
Angkor Wat
is-
temples. I want to learn how our
No,
culture
but whatever
spread
said and done-
across so many lands.
You know, the fact
Rajdeep,
is-
have you ever?
It seems that you only want history textbooks to be about Hindu culture.
No,
I want
have
it to
you
be
heard?
about Indian civilization.
Have you heard of
I
King
want it to be
Lalita
about
Aditya?
Indian
Have you
civilization.
heard of King Lalita Aditya
You know,
Muktipada?
the fact is that
He
we keep
spread
getting
the
into-
expanse of this
if
empire.
we keep
We
getting
don't
into
read about
trying
him in
and
our history.
settling
We can
scores,
go-
we can go on and on,
we can
settle
go on.
scores.
We're out of
Collateral
time.
is going to be the student.
There's a reason why this is called the Democratic Newsroom, because we all have our say. It is a contentious issue. It's an emotive, it's a sensitive issue. It dates back to a subject and a time where all of us feel very sensitive, and it's something that we've all been through because we've all studied history in school. We all know about the Mughals, so this is something that hits a certain place.
As long as you don't poison the minds of our young.
In political season,
As long as we speak the truth to the next generation, so that there's truth and reconciliation.
on the
That's not
Democratic
happening
Newsroom,
now.
okay,
It's not going to
guys,
happen as per
I'm
the
going to have to
SRT.
crack the whip
It
now.
will.
True. I agree with
I have
that,
to,
Shiv.
I have to crack the
Truth will prevail.
They've altered it. They've removed. They
Okay,
haven't done
we
what
will
you want them
do a
to
part
do.
2 on the
We should
Mughals,
get them
maybe
to do
and the
that.
textbooks, and given how 2023 is going so far, I think I have a feeling we're going to do the Mughals many more times here on the Democratic Newsroom. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks to all of you.